They're said to care deeply about climate, but also the demographic least likely to take action for nature. But far from being all care and no responsibility, many young Australians might just need some encouragement to help. The flip side is that in helping nature, they're probably helping themselves as well. Australia does need more young people involved in caring for our country. After all, they're the ones that are going to bear the impacts of the nature losses and climate challenges. But how do we harness climate anxiety and turn it into practical action on the ground? It's something I'm going to ask my next guests now, all of whom are involved in the Australian Land Conservation Alliance conference currently on in Cairns. And joining you live on ABC Radio this afternoon, Jana Dielenberg is the Science and Communications Director at the Biodiversity Council. G'day, Jana.
G'day.
Mackenna Minstrell is with Climate 200. G'day, Mackenna.
Hi.
And Monique Jeffs is the community organiser with Cairns and Far North Environment Centre, otherwise known as CAFNEC. Welcome to Drive.
Thank you very much.
And Jana, we'll start just with a brief explainer about the Biodiversity Council, what you do, and then if you could just lead into some of the annual survey work you do and what it revealed about youth attitudes to nature conservation.
Sure. So the Biodiversity Council is an independent expert group that was started by 11 Australian universities. And we present evidence-based information to try and motivate action to address Australia's biodiversity crisis. And some of that has involved doing research about community attitudes to biodiversity, what actions people are already taking, and how we can encourage more positive action for biodiversity in Australia.
What have we found about youth's attitude towards conservation more broadly?
Well, we've done a few pieces of research, and this is work that's been done by Monash University's Behaviour Works Australia, which are, they're a dedicated social research group. And so we know things like from the last election that young people are the group that's most likely to be influenced by thinking about the environment when they vote. And from the survey work that we do each year of the community, we know that young people are particularly concerned about climate change, about waste and pollution, and they are also concerned about the possible extinction of native plants and animals. But when we've done focus group work with young people, we find that when you just look, if you don't specifically ask them about biodiversity and you just say, like, what are your top concerns in life? People are concerned about cost of living. They are concerned about climate change, and they are really concerned also about their mental health and well-being. And we aren't seeing as many young people participating in conservation actions as we are older people at the moment, but there is this really interesting movement of youth, young people-led conservation initiatives like Intrepid Landcare and Co-Exist that's encouraging more people in, and a lot of them are being attracted because it helps them address those other things, like it helps their mental health and well-being because they're out there in nature, which lots of research shows is great for your mental health and well-being. They're making connections with community, and also nature is a big part of the climate solution. So yeah, there's lots of positive reasons for young people to get involved.
Yeah, so Mackenna, if you could talk more to what we've just heard there from Jana, does that resonate or ring true for you in your work with Climate 200?
Yeah, absolutely it does. I'm really lucky to work not only with an amazing organisation that cares about involving communities and engaging them in the active hope of participating in change to try and engage with problems like declining biodiversity or other issues that need to be in Parliament, but specifically a really engaged group of young people. So at Climate 200, there's a future leaders team of young people like myself who are really committed to this action. But I think what we see also across communities is the more young people can be engaged in the issues that really scare them and lead to legitimate eco-anxiety, the easier it is to grapple with those concerns and understand that while it is incredibly scary, the situation the world is headed, whether it's declining biodiversity or, continuing emissions, the best way is engaging in that active hope of knowing you're doing something on the ground. So the more we can do to bring youth into that, I think is a really important, piece in our future engagement in conservation and other areas around the environment.
And like Mackenna, Monique, you're a young person actually involved in taking action to try and improve the environment, but the whole turning fear and anxiety into action, I mean, the biggest thing about dealing with anxiety is often not feeling like you've got any control over what you're scared about. So when people actually realise that they can get their hands dirty or get involved in conservation work, what kind of impact do you think that has on mental health and addressing some of that eco-anxiety or climate anxiety as it's branded?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that, like, from personal experience. Like, I first got involved in the environment movement through climate action, through the Australian Youth Climate Coalition, and struggled a lot with that. But since moving to Cairns and starting to work for CAFNEC, experienced that getting out and planting a tree, like, you do feel like you're actually taking a step forward in being part of that solution, as well as still advocating for the bigger systems change. But just being out, you can feel your whole body relax and just really connect with other people, especially like the conservation movement is like a lot of older people, and there's so much wisdom to be gained and so much perspective to be gained from talking to older people who've been around for a long time. Yeah, and if you go and visit the local landcare groups, a lot of them don't have a lot of very young members. There might be some that have joined, but generally speaking, it's more older and mature members that maybe have a little bit more time to do that sort of volunteer work. Though you did mention, Jana, that there is a growing movement of sort of, what do you call it, Intrepid Landcare and Co-Exist, these groups that are trying to actually create somewhere for young people to go and get involved in work.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that many landcare groups and, say, friends of groups often have people who are retired and they have more time and they really enjoy the community of spirit of getting out. But that if you're just a single young person turning up, you might not feel comfortable when everyone's 30 years older than you. And so there have been some youth-led initiatives like Co-Exist, where it's young people coming together, and in many ways it's really complementing and working in with some of those existing landcare programs. So we were hearing yesterday from people from Intrepid Landcare, where what they do is they'll go around as a group and they will help existing landcare groups that might have older members. So they might get in and do a big planting with them, and so they bring that sort of their youthful energy and their good knees and their ability to bend over.
Good knees.
I'm about to have a 50th birthday, and if I spend too much time kneeling, I get a sore back.
You can never have too many good knees.
That's right.
But youthful energy, exuberance, but also you don't know what's the saying? You can't be what you can't see. So if you don't know this type of thing even happens, or you've never been exposed to it, then just even being introduced to it, does that seem to have some power?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not necessarily the same formula. So sometimes these programs bring in completely different elements. Like I heard at Co-Exist that when they have a retreat, in a bush retreat, they'll have an ice bath set up too for people. There's going to be different things that make it a fun experience for people. And some of the people are coming to these events not because they want to help the environment, but just because they have a great time and they meet people, and it's a great thing to do on a weekend. So there's all kinds of reasons, but the end result is still great. It's people being connected with nature and often learning from the people who've been going for longer about these conservation aspects that might lead them to go on and join other landcare groups and things like that. So,
and could I jump in?
You certainly can.
Just with some local examples of around Far North Queensland, like Kuranda Conservation and Holloway's Beach Coast Care and Tree Force are some amazing organisations up here that have a really diverse younger demographic, and I think naturally doing that kind of work and bringing in those young people. Hearing here from Monique Jeffs, Mackenna Minstrell and Jana Dielenberg. They are three people in Cairns for the Australian Land Conservation Alliance Conference. Well, you live in Cairns, Monique, with your work with CAFNEC, but for you, Mackenna, you've come up to an area of importance, ecological importance, the Great Barrier Reef, the World Heritage Rainforest that surrounds Cairns in particular. You are a young person that has been very motivated to take action in this space, but how do we try and ensure that there are more young people actually getting involved in conservation work, like actual work, as opposed to having these fears and concerns and caring about climate change, but they're not really knowing what to do about it?
That's an excellent question. Really appreciate that. And first of all, I want to say I'm very excited to be up in Cairns and looking forward to checking out the reef as well. In terms of what I think is really important when engaging young people, is it's not just about getting boots on the ground or, keen knees for the weeding, but I think it's about amplifying leadership positions for youth as well. Young people are very intelligent and have a lot of care and capacity to give back. So even though young people have lots of pressures on their time, whether it's, cost of living, working and studying and balancing all of those pressures, I think there's a lot of capacity to tap into the knowledge that younger people have that are really engaged in the interconnection of conservation and climate change, to get their perspective on how best to engage in community, how best to bring in further young people. And I think that is really empowering, because it's not just engaging in a project that already exists of planting trees, which is obviously excellent to be outdoors, but it really empowers a young person to take the destiny of the world that they'll live in into their own hands, and therefore control what that future looks like, how best to engage community, and really feel accepted into those spaces of conservation. So not just boots on the ground, but I think leadership is really essential to elevating youth voices.
It's been great to have a conversation with you all in Cairns at the moment for the big conference, the Australian Land Conservation Alliance. And we've been hearing here from Jana Dielenberg, Mackenna Minstrell and Monique Jeffs. So what's it like to see all this knowledge coming into your city that you live in at the moment, where you are and others are trying to actively improve the environment, and see so many other people in other parts of Australia that are doing incredible work, and to kind of be involved in the energy and the hope and the optimism for the future?
Yeah, I think it's been really empowering to be able to connect with so many amazing people from all over this continent, and also to show people and talk about the work that we're doing here, and the amazing FNQ environment that we have to protect. And I did just want to finish with just shouting out that if there are young people listening that want to get involved, or anyone who wants to get involved, the CAFNEC hosts the FNQ Environment Roundtable, which is a great place to come and learn and see the local work that's happening, and that's on the 14th of November. And then we also have our Green Drinks, which is a great social event on the 20th of November. So yeah, come along, get involved.
It's been great to have you all on the program, and enjoy the rest of your time in Cairns. Jana, Mackenna and Monique, it's been great. Enjoy your evening.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.